Hi, my name is Leanne Hadley, and I welcome you to this session of Pieta. We've been doing a series on the Pieta Prayer, the Prayer of Being, which is the prayer that we begin Pieta with and end it with each time we gather in our Pieta circles. And we've been looking at that prayer line by line by line and seeing how it resonates with our souls and how we can live into that prayer as we continue to be a spiritual movement of love and compassion towards ourselves, others, the earth, and all God's creatures. So welcome to Pieta. I wanted to tell you quickly where we got our name and why we call ourselves Pieta. We are a spiritual movement, as I said, and we were inspired by this statue of Mary loving her son. And all of the times in the Gospels where Mary loves her son with such unconditional and deep love. And so we thought we may not be able to love the world with the love of Jesus, but perhaps we can love the world as if it is Jesus and we are his mother. So we are trying to be compassionate and loving to everything in the world with the same love and compassion that Mary always had for her son. That's why we call ourselves Pieta, and we're glad that you're here. Let's start with our Pieta prayer and get started with our session for today. Let's be still. I'll light our candle. There we go. The candle is lit. And let's be still for just a few moments. I'll say the Pieta prayer, and then we'll talk about our lesson for today. All right, here we go. Let me be in the world with nothing to prove, letting go of all expectations and judgment. May I give and receive compassion. May I care for others and receive their care. May I love deeply and receive love. May I be in the world with nothing to prove. May I be Pieta. The words from our prayer that we're looking at today are the words that say, may I care for others and receive their care. Caring seems light and it seems easy, but when we look at it in the Bible, and by the way, I meant to say that we are a Christian group. We use the Bible for all of our texts, but we're also a very inclusive group, and we understand that God manifests God's self in many, many ways. So if you are a Christian, you are welcome here. If you are some other denomination, you are welcome here. If you are a non-believer, you are welcome here. And certainly if you've been wounded by the church in any way, you are welcome at Pieta. We are so glad that you're here. So back to our story. I was just saying that, may I care for others and receive their care. Seems easy. I care about somebody. It's not quite the levity of may I love someone. It's like, can I care for somebody? But if we look at it in the context of Christ, caring becomes something really challenging for us, and I'll explain that in a minute. So, Jesus, of course, was a very caring person. I don't think anyone that would read the Gospels would say that was a man who didn't care for people. He was always caring for somebody. He was healing the sick. He was listening. He was advocating for the poor. He was advocating for anyone that was an outcast. Jesus was a caring person, no doubt. The thing in our Pieta prayer that we struggle with the most is not giving, but receiving. So today I wanted to focus on Jesus not only being a caring person, we know Jesus was, but I wanted to look at how Jesus received care when it was given to him and what happens to people when they care in the name of Christ or for Christ. So there's two stories that I want to highlight today. One is found in the book of Matthew 26, 6 through 13, and this is called Jesus Was Anointed at Bethany. So you know that anointing was the kindest gift you could give to somebody. It was like welcoming somebody to your home and giving them a piece of pie and a cup of coffee. It was an important thing to say, I see you, you matter. But anointing didn't happen to everybody who visited because anointing oil was precious. It only happened on special occasions or when someone was very, very precious to you. So this is when Jesus was anointed at Bethany. Now, when Jesus was at Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, a woman came up to him with an alabaster flask of very expensive ointment, and when she poured it on his head as he reclined at table, when the disciples saw it, they were indignant, saying, "Why this waste? For this could have been sold for a large sum and given to the poor." But Jesus, aware that they were judging her, said, Why do you trouble the woman? She's done a beautiful thing to me. He was confused. What's wrong with caring? She's done a beautiful thing. Why are you criticizing her? Now, there's another story that's almost like this one. Could be sort of an exaggerated version of this one, or this woman or other women might have anointed Jesus whenever he came to their homes. This one is found in Luke 7:36-50, and I'm not going to read this to you. I'm just going to tell you. So what happened was Jesus went to a Pharisee's house to eat, and while he was there, a woman came, and she, while he was reclining at the table, almost same story, she brings a flask of ointment, and she begins putting it on Jesus, and then she begins to weep, and she gets down at his feet. She's anointing his head and his feet, and she starts to cry, and her tears begin to wash his feet, and then she uses her hair to dry his feet. And the Pharisee is watching this, and he says, I'm starting to doubt whether you're a prophet or not, because why are you letting this sinful woman touch you? She's caring for Jesus, but the Pharisee sees it as a waste of time and improper. And so he begins to judge her. And then Jesus looks at him and says, do you see this woman? I entered your house and you gave me no water for my feet. She's wet my feet with her tears and wiped them, and with her hair. You gave me no kiss, but from the time I came in, she has not ceased to kiss my feet, to care for me. You did not anoint my head with oil, but she anointed my feet with ointment. So Jesus stands up for her. In both of these stories, you see this reaction to caring, which is what I want to talk about today. You think, I'm going to care for somebody. That's nice. Everybody should applaud me. I'm a caring person. Look at me. I'm a caring person. But in both of these stories, it illustrates really clearly that there is a point where your caring could be judged and criticized. So you reach out to care for somebody. Instead of somebody just saying, oh, okay, she cares about that, they start going crazy. Just like they do in the story. They're like, well, that's wasted on Jesus. Well, you shouldn't be the one to do that. Let somebody who's more worthy be the caring person to Jesus. There's something wrong with you. You're flawed. Why do you think you should care for somebody who's perfect? You see, there's all this criticism heaped on these women when they care for Jesus. And I think sometimes it's the same in our own lives. So, for example, you have a baby, and you say, oh my gosh, this is the most important thing that's ever happened to me. I'm going to quit my job and stay home and care for my baby. And people start saying, wow, you aren't evolved. What's wrong with you? Why are you staying home and taking care of a baby? You need to be working. You're about to ruin your career. You're not going to make it in a man's world if you stay home and take care of your baby. Or if you're a man, it's even worse. Why would a man give up his career for a baby, for caring for a baby? You see? Or maybe you have a baby and you decide that your career is so important to you that you trust somebody else to care for your baby, and then you get criticized. How can you put your baby in daycare? I mean, why would your career be more important to you than your baby, as if it's an either-or situation? So you see what I mean? Care is often one of the things that is criticized the most by the people on the fringes. Sometimes, you'll hear from somebody, well, that's a waste of time. That person doesn't care if you care for them, or they don't deserve your care. Why are you doing that? Other times, people will say, you're caring for them, but why aren't you caring for somebody else? Why do they get all your care? There's all this jealousy, all this judgment. You see, caring sounds really easy until you start doing it. And then people start questioning your judgment. But why do you care so deeply? Why do you care about that and other stuff? What gives you the right to care? Well, that's wasting your time, that's wasting your energy, that's wasting your money. See, caring sounds easy until you do it. And that's why these two stories, I think, are so important when we're saying, let me care for others and receive their care, because it kind of demonstrates both parts. When you care for others, you're probably going to get criticized. Isn't that crazy? You think everybody would clap, but you get criticized for caring. People think you're crazy. They don't understand. And then when you receive care, people start criticizing the people around you for caring, and also criticizing you. Well, why do you deserve to be cared about? As I get older, I think, who will care about me? And if somebody went to extreme measures to care for me, I'm sure somebody would say, but she's old, who cares, right? So then what does that do to my self-esteem when the people that are caring for us are then criticized for caring? You see, that's why this line, I think, of the Pieta Prayer is so important. May I care for others and receive their care. It sounds easy, but once you start doing it, you have to understand that there will probably be judgment and criticism that comes your way. Whoever you're caring for won't seem valuable enough to them. The care that you give will seem wasteful, ridiculous. So the question is not what will other people think of my caring, but what is God calling me to do? Who is it that deserves my time and my attention? And also, when you are given care, and people say, are you really worth it? This story says, yes, you are. Even Jesus says, I'm worth it. Let her care for me. You know, we need to have the same self-esteem that Jesus has when people care for us. It's okay. I'm allowed to receive care. Jesus gave care and he received care. And when Christ was given care many times, the people giving him care were criticized. He wasn't valuable enough to receive it. And yet he was in himself and self-aware enough to say, leave her alone. I am valuable enough to receive it. Everything that we do in Pieta sounds so simple when we first say it. Let me care for others and receive their care. Easy. Not easy. It's difficult. The question that I would have us ponder this week is that in these stories, people gave care and received care, and there was criticism around that. And so my question is, have you ever given care to another person and felt judged because you did it? And also, have you ever received care and felt guilty because you didn't feel valuable enough to receive it? So ponder those two extremes. Have you ever given and been criticized for it, and what did you do with that? Did you internalize it? Did you put perspective around it? What have you done with that? Do you still carry it with you, that you wasted your time doing a caring act? Or the second question is, have you ever received care and felt like you didn't deserve it, you weren't worthy of it? So let's ponder both of those questions, and let's be still for a few moments and ponder that. And I just want to say to you that every caring act that you do is celebrated by a God who invites us to be caring. And every caring act that you receive is a gift to God, because God knows how valuable you are, and you do deserve to be cared for. So I hope that this week when you give care, you give it freely and don't worry about what other people think. And when you receive care, that you can humbly receive it, knowing that you are just as precious as all the people that you give care to. There's no difference in us. We need care, we give care, we receive care. Let's end with our Pieta prayer. Let me be in the world with nothing to prove, letting go of all expectations and judgment. May I give and receive compassion. May I care for others and receive their care. May I love deeply and receive love. May I be in the world with nothing to prove. May I be Pieta. Thank you for being here today. I hope to see you soon. And if you're looking for a Pieta circle, for a group of people online that you can be yourself with and explore what it is to be caring and compassionate in a world that isn't always loving, caring, and compassionate, we'd love to have you. You are welcome at Pieta.